Hi, this is the Yorker Arts team again with Natalija Sasic, the arts editor.
And Simon Cox, one film TV editors.
Yes, today we're talking about the US shows that have come over to the UK. And so, what do you like the most so far?
Hasn't been the most impressive season so far, but I would say
Mm.
that Nikita, the sort of reboot of La Femme Nikita, or Nikita before it,
Mm.
uh, that it's been the sort of most impressive, I'd say. What about for you?
Oh, yeah, I wrote about it last week actually. Oddly enough, Hellcats. I mean, there's only been one episode, so I can't really say yet with
Yeah.
longevity, but
I
it
love that
was,
pilot too, though. I thought it was really effective.
yeah, it was a good
Not what I
pilot.
expected.
Yeah, and it was just, it had like more depth than I thought. That kind of, when I first saw that promos, it's just like advertising. It's like, it's about cheerleaders who do all these fun dances. It's not about that. Like, I mean, it is, but there's so much more to it than just that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think I like the characters. I like sort of Savannah isn't like a cliched bitchy
Yeah.
head cheerleader. I think she's quite inspiring in some ways. Also, I think because it's set in Memphis, they might play on Deep South, like might be a bit controversial. I think there's definitely potential
It
there.
really helps that Ali Michalka and
She
Ashley
does well.
Tisdale are doing a fantastic job of.
No,
So
it's a good cast, and I enjoy watching them. So yeah, watch this space. I'm really
yeah,
advocating
I'll be
Hellcats.
watching.
Watch Hellcat. Um, what have you kind of not been as keen on that's come over so far?
The event is the
Mm,
one that's been the most disappointing. I don't know, it's
definitely.
sort of set up in a way that would make me think of it like Flash Forward as well. So there's been so many things trying to recreate this sort of the next Lost idea.
It's yet another high concept show that's. I mean, there've been so many. It's not just Lost. I mean, things like 4400 was another one of those that kind of died away a little bit. Heroes as well. It's
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily work, and it was pimped up as this big like conspiracy show, like the biggest cover up in US history, like using so many superlatives, and it's like you're setting up expectations too high. You're not starting small. You're It's just too much going on, and I couldn't get
It's
invested in any of the stories and any of the characters, what
yeah,
they were
sort of
doing with
before
it.
it went on mid-season break, what we'd got was 10 or 11 episodes of
Yeah,
this sort of crazy cliche-filled rubbish,
the
really. A lot
script
of
is
the time was
terrible.
just
Yeah, the
it was
script
just a
is
mess.
just terrible.
And there was really nothing to be rooting for any of the characters. Utterly awful.
I mean, yeah, I feel bad because I sort of wanted it to work. I think there's a lot of good people on it, but I
Yeah, I mean,
don't.
I liked a couple of the actors involved. I was
Mm,
interested enough to watch it. I like these high concept things. I mean, I watched all of Flash Forward last year, for heaven's
you
sake.
did, yeah.
It was yeah. I thought the event was spectacularly disappointing.
Mm. There's also An Ordinary Family, which I feel had so much potential, and I love dramas which are very sort of family or kind of feel quite real life, but then you have like a little bit of the supernatural thrown in, and I think that's kind of right up my alley. I really like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
there's something about Northern Family that just doesn't quite work though. Like they don't really
Mm,
know
where they're
what
taking
kind
it.
of a show it wants to be.
Yeah, and I struggle to put my finger on exactly what it is that
Yeah,
puts me off it. But I feel like there's something that doesn't. It kind of stops me from going back to it a little bit. Like when I have it on Skybox, I'm like, do I really want to watch
yeah.
this? I really force myself to. And I think it's. I mean, I've been looking at the US ratings; they've been plummeting like week after week, and I don't. I think that might be another aspect of it as
When
well.
something's so obviously headed towards
Yeah,
cancellation,
you struggle to get invested.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's got a real imbalanced tone as well, which doesn't help.
Mm, yeah.
You don't know what you're tuning in for each time you're getting an episode of that, and that's an issue.
They tweaked it a little bit. I mean, I love the cast. I mean, I don't think there's a single weak link in the cast. It's just
Yeah,
I'm
well, you
sort
know
of
what I say. There's no moment when Julie Benz shouldn't be on TV. She's
exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Julie Benz is great. Autumn Reeves is fantastic. The
Yeah, she
kids are
is.
great as well. I mean, how rare is it to get like two teenage kids who are just really likable? But I think it wasn't quite headed in the right direction. I wish they'd kind of
Yeah.
made it a family show with some like fun supernatural elements. Maybe not done all this kind of like scientific conspiracy theory stuff. Maybe saved that for a second season if they'd had one. Not tried to do so much at once.
I think family shows are something that the US has difficulty with, to be honest. Over here
Mm,
in the UK, we've got, Doctor Who and other shows that are quite obviously able to be geared towards younger audiences whilst also appealing to and a lot of US attempts at this blend,
that
able to
multi-layered,
find
yeah.
that balance.
So there's also been quite a few comedies, especially. I think we've had a couple in the last week.
Well, we kind of gave up on Mike and Molly after about 4 episodes, didn't we?
Yeah, I really tried, and I don't. I quite like some of the stuff that Chuck Lorre's done. I don't think he's that bad. I just didn't make me laugh, and I kind of felt the fat jokes were kind of there were too many of them, and it just wasn't keeping me entertained that much. It just all the characters felt like stock
Yeah.
characters. It's very cliched. It just wasn't
They
really
did sort
winning
of
me over.
drop the fat jokes a little bit heading into sort of the third and fourth episode.
Mm.
but what they replaced them with was really awkward sexual humor that just didn't.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know. It
right.
made you feel really uncomfortable. I felt, and I was like, this isn't for me. Plus, as much as I like the actress playing Molly, I
Yeah.
just couldn't get on the. I don't like the guy playing Mike.
You know, she's the best thing about
Yeah.
Mike and Molly,
Oh, the
definitely.
supporting characters were horrendous as well.
Yeah, they really were. Oh wow. I mean, Raising Hope, I think, is probably the the strongest of not the strongest
Yeah,
bunch, but the strongest of
it's
the
the
four.
first. It was the first show to get a second season order in the US, which
Mm.
says a lot of good things about it. I feel like it's become quite a nice, charming show. It's what you want from comedy is characters that you want to revisit and hang out with each week, and I feel like
Mm.
Raising Hope hits that on the head. There are some characters in the show that I'm not such a fan of, like more.
Yeah.
The general main family unit, I like seeing them interact, and
Mm.
I like to see what happens, and that's good for me.
I sort of watched the first 4 or 5 episodes and I kind of thought, well, this might be the kind of thing I'll tune into every once in a while. Not
Yeah,
necessarily follow every week. I mean, I had the same thing with My Name is Earl, which is from the same people. Yeah, with Mama, that really put me off. I don't think it's okay to laugh at somebody having mental disorder. I think that's kind of pushing the line a little bit. It's not all
yeah.
right.
As it grows, they'll probably find a better way to use that character.
I mean, Better With You was quite cute. I mean, it's not anything spectacular.
Yeah,
it's something I think that might be my sort of like 20-minute weekly fix of like, oh, this is quite fun.
I feel like every year has this average comedy spot, and last year I felt like Accidentally on Purpose
Yeah.
was the one that filled it. Yeah, I don't really know what the difference. There's obviously a lot of differences between them. They hit you with some fairly obvious jokes, but they'll still get you to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, then there's the last one of those is, Bleep, my dad says, which is based on the
Yeah, I
Twitter
never
feed.
could quite get to watch the pilot.
I just wanted to see out of curiosity because everyone was saying it was so bad. Well, I can't judge it until I've seen it. And I
Exactly.
mean, the reality of it is, it's just, I feel like no effort's been put into it. It's so lazy. Not very funny. I mean, the William Shatner character, who's the dad,
Mm.
he's basically Denny Crane from Boston Legal, but like having retired into the countryside and gone a bit senile. It's just not funny. It's a little bit sad. And I follow the sort of shit my dad says Twitter feed, and it's hilarious. But some of the best aspects of it is when he kind of uses swearing to kind of emphasize, and you can't do that on network TV. So I feel like a lot of that is kind of lost. We've also had like a couple of cop shows.
I watched the first episode of Blue Bloods, and I'm certainly open to checking back in with that show again in the future. It was mostly some fairly run-of-the-mill cop fare,
Mm.
so it seems like it's got some potential to go to maybe some darker places with a conspiracy storyline. For me in cop shows, I probably need something more than the average.
Yeah, I'm the same. I struggle to be won over by cop shows. I mean, there's Hawaii Five at the moment, which is also kind of a cop show. For me, what draws me in is Hawaii. I just like looking at really pretty scenery,
Yeah,
and it's an unusual setting, and I kind of like that.
Hawaii Five-O is like an hour of fun, and
Mm.
that maybe I didn't get so much from Blue Bloods. There's this really good dynamic, even if they're not sharing out the time between the characters as I'd like, perhaps. The relationship between Steve and Dano, which just plays really well on screen.
I think I'm struggling a little bit to find Wi-Fi fully engaging. I mean, I still find myself kind of getting distracted when I watch it. I can't really sit and concentrate on it. I don't think there's enough to keep me really glued to my TV
Yeah,
screen. But it's as you say, quite a fun hour of TV.
it's got Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park. I'm there.
Yeah, yeah. I know you're a bit of a fanboy. There's also been some stuff that Sky Atlantic's brought over. I'm especially liking Treme at the moment. I mean, I wrote about it when it
Yeah,
first started. I mean, it's from the same guys that did The Wire. It's a special kind of TV where there is so much going on and you really just totally envelop yourself in this world.
yeah. I
But
watched that incredibly dense sort of
yeah, you're
first
not used
episode.
to it. That's the thing as well. I think of
I
that
think
kind
I'll
of
get used to
storytelling.
it, but it was
It takes time, but
tricky.
it's definitely one you have to have 100% concentration on. But it pays off. Like, and I really actually enjoy that kind of my hour there because it is a full hour. I really like kind of being in that world and just not you just blocking everything out and that. There's also Boardwalk Empire, which I know you're still with. How are you finding that?
I think it's definitely one of those shows that takes its time. It does a bit of world building, I'd say, in
Mm,
sort of opening few hours. You definitely got to get on board with who the characters are and what this kind of world that they live in is. It's sort of growing to be something that could be really amazing. I feel like it'll probably need a little more time just to sort of set up some great action that I know that kind of setting will produce.
mm,
And
yeah,
in seasons to come, because we already know it's got a second season pick
yeah.
up. So
I think it's fantastically produced, and I think they picked a great era in
yeah,
history to make a program out of. I personally just found it difficult to really, I don't know, buy into it, but I think that's a personal taste thing. I don't think it's for everyone. I think you have to kind of be very patient with it. But I don't
yeah,
know,
there's a
like
patience involved definitely.
uh, I think it's a particular taste, but I won't deny that it's very well made.
I mean, it's certainly something I've been wondering recently is whether sort of anti-heroes are falling out of fashion, I guess, in TV. You know, people want to watch people doing the right thing. I've sort of been noticing more of the kind of typical good character rather than a
Yeah, I don't think there's anything
anti-hero.
wrong with the moral grey area. I just
I like, yeah, the grey area is good.
the grey area is good. I think it allows for more interesting storytelling. But I'm still sort of I found it very difficult to get into that world.